Denise Roche. Before I call a member, I am going to reiterate a ruling I've made now, I think, about 4 times, and to remind members of relevance and repetition. I actually came very close to terminating the member's speech for both, actually. So being repetitious with the relevancies is not helpful. Denise Roche.
Thanks, Mr Chair. I rise to take the first call on the Committee of the Whole House Part 1 of the Parental Leave and Employment Protection 6 months paid leave and work contact hours amendment bill. Sir, Part 1 refers to, and it's been amended to ensure that it's up to date, but Part 1 refers to replacing 18 weeks paid parental leave, replacing that with 22 weeks. And that, sir, reflects the decision from the committee, and I had the privilege of sitting on the committee, the decision from the committee that, that first of all, that we needed to update it to take into account the changes that were made last year, basically as a result of Sue Moroney's previous bill, to take into account that fact, but also 22 weeks is one, excuse the pun, baby step towards 26 weeks. And Part 2, which I won't discuss now, but Part 2 talks about extending that further to 26 weeks from 2018. Sir, the progression towards paid parental leave is an essential part of what we should be doing in this country to ensure that we do have a stable economy. Now, people across the House have been talking about the costs, and I think we need to bear in mind that that actually the costs are more than covered if we look at the longer term view. So, sir, if we look at paid parental leave being at 26 weeks, but although this Part 1 talks about 22 weeks, which, as I said, is the baby step on the way, if we look at the extension of paid parental leave, we're looking at a way of addressing the pay gap between men and women. We're looking at a way of ensuring that women who are having children are able to stay in the paid workforce, and it addresses some of the inequities that occur in the workforce around pay. That's one area where it's good for the economy. The other place where it's good for the economy, 22 weeks and then 26 weeks, ideally we'd like to see 13 months, which would, bring us into line with many of the other OECD countries, but let's focus on 22 weeks in Part 1. The other thing that this would be good for the economy around is the area of ensuring that families, that newborns and their families are able to connect and make solid connections, and it ensures that there's ample time for breastfeeding, and it gives a start out that is a bit of stability for the family. Now, when you do that, sir, you start to offset some of the potential problems that can occur further down the track. And this is research that's been traversed time and time again. It's irrefutable. It's evidence-based that if we invest now in ensuring we have stable families, there are savings down the track in terms of the health system, in terms of the correction system, in terms of education failings, all those things, there are savings there. And so this short-term approach of saying we are not, from that side of the House, saying we're not going to support it because it costs this much, is not taking into account the longer-term savings. So the other area where this bill, and particularly this part, extension to 22 weeks and then to 26 weeks, where it is good for the economy, is around the employers. We've now got a global market, a global labour market. We've got a situation here in New Zealand where, in order for us to compete globally, we need to be having a skilled workforce. And employers are having to compete in that labour market to ensure that they get them. Now, our parental leave does not make it attractive for those skilled workers to remain in this country. Certainly, if there are better provisions and family-friendly provisions in other countries and companies based overseas, then we start to lose those people who could be contributing their expertise, their innovation to our economy, which desperately needs that. And we need that to solve some of the immense problems of the day. For example, address some of our issues around climate change. So, sir, it makes sense to extend paid parental leave, as it says in part 1, sir, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. To extend paid parental leave to 22 weeks and then to 26 weeks so that we can actually be an economy that can compete internationally. Sir, I think it's very short-sighted from the other side to suggest that this is going to cost too much when in fact that side of the House have directed enormous amounts of funds at areas that we would see are not priorities, areas that do not have short or long-term benefits, basically. Things like roads of national significance, which, was an issue that was traversed a little bit today during question time.
Point of order, Ian Galloway.
I apologise for interrupting my colleague, but she is ranging quite some distance from part 1 of this.
Right.
And in fact, was talking about 26 weeks, which is part 2.
I was talking about 22 weeks.
Order. And roads of national significance are not part of this bill. So, Denise Roach.
Sure, back to babies. No, you're quite right. And I do apologise, and I thank the side of the House for that. So basically, sir, 22 weeks, part 1, we support that. We support it because it's a sensible progression from where we are at the moment, which is 18 weeks, through to 22 weeks, and I'll talk a little bit more about 26 weeks when we get to that part of the bill. Thank you.
I'm going to call